Both of you gave us so much to think about. Both of you dug deep into your parsha. You were both talking about a census, and look what you did. You did exactly what the best sages and darshanim have done, Torah interpreters have done throughout time, was to make connections, to consider what might be a layer underneath the surface, to help us see what about this speaks to us. You were creative in the way you did this. Sarah, by analyzing the trope, Zakef Kadol, and the misdeeds of the elder brothers, leading to considering Dina, to women's rights, to abortion, you made so many points of connection, from a trope mark to a family dynamic, to questions of punishment, right or wrong, to feminism, to our own ability to have decision-making over our own bodies, and to how you have fear about what will happen to you as a young woman. And Lily, you saw the census as a way of taking care of the needs of the community. Analyzing the text from Masechet Sanhedrin, you saw the balancing of the needs of the individual and the needs of the community, and considered how we can best respond when people become indifferent in a community or to a community, as you experienced during COVID. These Devrei Torah were not only creative, but they also were so insightful. Your writing, Lily, got me thinking about all the ways that we've been witnessing indifference to the community in our country, in our society, and a feeling I think many people are having that there's an unraveling of the fabric of community in this time, an unraveling of the feeling of shared purpose, an unraveling of a feeling of shared or common responsibility and of caring for one another. The mass shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde have brought our attention back to the devastating epidemic of mass shootings, mostly by men who feel alienated, disconnected from the community, whether because of racism and white nationalist ideology, or because of a grievance of one kind or another, or because of a hurt they're experiencing. They've often turned on the women in their lives before they go on a shooting rampage. We don't all agree in this country about how to stop these terrible tragedies, though many of us feel that we need responsible limitations on who can get their hands on guns and what kind. But something is very wrong that we have all of these, really, it's mostly men, who want to go kill masses of random people. If there was any indicator of the unraveling of the social fabric, this is one. There are so many places that we're seeing this beyond mass shootings. Lily, you talked about loneliness, and we're seeing epidemic levels of loneliness and isolation among young people and among people of all ages, exacerbated by the pandemic, surely, but predating it, and with no sign of abating. And in all of the culture wars, we see this feeling of indifference on both sides. People feeling like no one in this country cares about them. We see it in some of the language of the insurrectionists and the white supremacists when they chant, "Jews will not replace us." As crazy as that is, as anti-Semitic as that is, it indicates the feeling of being dispensable, the feeling of others not wanting you to be here. Red state people describe feeling forgotten. They're called flyover states, as if they don't matter. And I'm sure it seems that blue state people don't care about them at all. On the other hand, blue state people feel like red state people don't care about them. As you talked about, Sarah, the legislation we see coming out about abortion, the Supreme Court seems to be a decision that's in formation, and also the legislation we see in states across the country, where it doesn't matter if the pregnant person is very young, or if she was raped, or if she's just 1 day pregnant. It feels like the lawmakers and activists pushing these kinds of bills don't care about what happens to women at all. Same with legislation against transgender kids or LGBT people Same with the issue about the teaching of the history of slavery and lynching and Jim Crow, or the banning of books on those topics. The people promoting these policies feel like those teachings are part of a campaign to make them into the bad guys and to dismiss them. But on the other side, what does the slogan Black Lives Matter mean other than it's a response to feeling like you don't count, like no one cares whether you live or die? We have a whole lot of people in this country who feel like nobody cares about them, like there's no community, like there's no belonging, like there's just indifference everywhere. And a lot of people are feeling low and defeated and diminished because of it. This week's parashah and a particular Hasidic commentary on it actually provide a beautiful response to this condition. At the peshat, or surface level, we have a census, as has been discussed, which is about the idea that every person counts. Further, Me'or Einayim, a disciple of the Baal Shem Tov, who lived in Chernobyl in Ukraine, by the way, says that the verses at the beginning of our portion teach us that the Shekhinah, which is God's indwelling presence, needs all of the people in order to be present. None of them may be missing, he says. He notes that the verse tells us that the people must be counted by name. A person's name is his soul. The letters of your name are your root and your vitality, he says. The main point is that no soul may be missing or overlooked. Even, he says, fallen souls, even wicked people may not be lost. God forbid, he says. That's why God says to Moses, Se'u et rosh kol ha'adat. Lift up every head of the whole community. He says they need to be uplifted and raised high, even though they have fallen. So let me just be clear. The Hebrew that we translate as count every person, it actually literally says lift up every head. And also they're supposed to be counted according to their families, the text says, according to their parents' households. And Me'or Einayim says of this, according to their supernal roots, for we're part of our ancestors. And if a person isn't able to make repair in this lifetime, Me'or Einayim says, that's why the text uses the word golgolet the next time it talks about their heads. It's a hint about, he says, reincarnation, hitgalgalut. If they're unable to repair themselves in this life, he says, they'll be reincarnated several times until they're repaired. But why should they need to be reborn, he asks? Better that they repair their deeds the first time around. Now, many people don't know that reincarnation is included in the teachings of Judaism. It is. That's not our point today. But what Me'or Einayim is saying here is that everyone counts. Everyone matters. We give up on no one, no matter how they behave. The job of a leader in the community is to lift up people's heads, to raise them up, to make sure they feel seen and known and cared about, to call them by name, to call them by the name of their ancestors and their families and their households, to say, your life matters, your roots matter, your culture matters, I see you. You have a place here. And even if you've become totally indifferent, even if you've become wicked, even if you feel like you don't care about anyone else, we still care about you. You belong here. We are facing many problems right now in our society, and many solutions are necessary, and it can feel overwhelming. But underneath almost all of them is a feeling that maybe no one cares about us, that maybe we don't care about each other, that maybe there's no community at all, that maybe it's all falling apart. That's why both of your prescriptions, Sarah and Lily, are exactly right. What the world needs now is people who care, people who get involved. And the way to start caring is to get involved with the people closest to you, the people in your community, about projects or ideas or goals that matter to you, whether that's reproductive health, which both of you spoke about, or that's about the community itself. To roll up your sleeves, to reach out, to be the first one who says, I care. I see you. You matter. I'm here for you. We, together, can do something about this. We, together, can make a difference. Here at CBE, we are so lucky to have so many opportunities for exactly that kind of belonging. We even have a small groups program where any member who has an idea for a small group they want to be part of can get help starting one. We have groups that bake challah together, garden, play mahjong. We have groups that are Shoah survivors, who are grandparents, who speak Hebrew together, who are queer parents, who walk in nature together. And we have our many Tikkun Alliance social justice groups, and our many classes of learners, and our Friday night or Shabbat morning regulars, some of whom are here, and our committees, and our Yahad classes, and we have Chesed, which is all about people taking care of each other and showing up and helping everyone feel like they're not alone. We all need places where we belong. And we all need to feel that our community and our society cares about us. And we all can contribute meaningfully to this core need by doing things, activist things, service things, volunteer things that show we care, so that every head is lifted up, so that everyone is counted. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.